Petitions filed to the Constitutional Council by presidential aspirants have been rejected for lack of substance during an uninterrupted hearing this Friday, which lasted 8 hours. Thus, 9 candidates will run for the October 7 presidential polls. Plus, Muslim faithfuls in Cameroon have intensified preparations ahead of the Feast of Tabaski to be celebrated next Tuesday. But how important was this last Friday before the feast? Find out in a moment. Good evening to you all, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for joining me. I am Henry Wana at the Anchor in Douala. All files deposited at the Constitutional Council for further examination have been turned down. Despite hearings in Yaoundé today, all those appealing for a second chance to run in the October 7 presidential race are truly and completely out. Details with you, Veronica Aje.
There is no doubt only 9 persons shall stand in for the October 7 race. The Constitutional Council has this August 17 given a verdict rejecting all petitions tabled for a review of files deposited. After hearings at the Constitutional Council in Yaoundé, the appeal of Abubakar Kamaldeen, an independent candidate, has been rejected for failure to drop his file at Elections Cameroon. Olivier Bilet's petition was not founded according to the Constitutional Council. 2 other petitions filed by the Yaoundé political party demanding the disqualification of CPDM candidate Paul Biya were considered baseless and the other empty due to absence of some documents. Bertenki Sob's entry was dumped for lack of merit and he did not meet mandatory requirements of the court. As for Nzei Amvele Geneviève, refusing her file is failing to save Cameroon from sin. Meantime, selected presidential aspirants are already preparing for forthcoming campaigns and election.
Whose files have been rejected by the Constitutional Council left the Yaoundé Conference Center after the audience disgruntled. Let's have their reactions.
No, I can't be satisfied. It's the bad verdict. It's not good because we have a Constitutional Council who is become a Supreme Court too, a second Supreme Court. That is not a good presumption.
I am very, very, very disappointed because after having petitioned, I was that only candidacy which could have been, taken back by the Constitutional Council, which could have been rehabilitated by this institution. I called to the media, to the journalists, and everybody in Cameroon knew that Olivier Bilet could not have his caution because the people working in the treasury were no longer there in their offices. I also called a lawyer. I called a lawyer named Huissier de Justice to make the assessment of the situation. And the documents were made available to the members of this council. But it is absolutely I cannot understand why the president of this institution can say that our petition cannot be fruitful.
I am so happy and free in my mind after...
Okay, we arrive here with a certain conviction. I'm sure that our candidature was have all elements to be available, but ELECAM decide to subtract 4 documents. For example, a nationality certificate, and I prove that in my dossier we have this element. Now, I think that I haven't got to regret. I haven't got to regret because what is important is to ameliorate the law in our country, and I think that I prove here that we have a lot of work to do to ameliorate the conditions of the election in our country.
presidential aspirants whose lists have been rejected by the Constitutional Council reacting there. Now, let's go over to Kumba, where internally displaced persons in Meme Division have called on the government to include medical assistance in their next consignment of the humanitarian aid. They made the plea recently while receiving the second consignment of the government humanitarian aid. Daniela Neba reports from Kumba.
The poor health condition experienced by most displaced persons in Meme Division as a result of the trauma they passed through in their villages have forced them to use the second distribution ceremony of the government humanitarian assistance to call on the government to include medical assistance or send them money for medical check-up. The hundreds of displaced persons came out in their numbers this time as a result of the difficulties they are facing in the bushes and in the town of Kumba. Many who came out with the hope of receiving medical assistance were very disappointed with the government.
When they burnt our house in the village, I was running. When I ran, I fell and then I break my knee. So I am under the pains because of that, the burning of that, my house. I come from Mongon, but under which is some issue. So I am feeling if they gave me even some treatment too, I'll be very grateful.
The beneficiaries equally expressed great satisfaction with what they received.
I'm fine, I'm feeling fine. For whatever we have, the head of state has offered us, we are happy. I'm from Kemong to Kumba. No, everything, although my parents have run to Nigeria, but I don't decide to come here in Kumba, to come and stay here in Kumba. That is why I'm here now.
On his part, Meme Ezio Shambaleng Tuondong thanks the population for accepting the assistance from the head of state. He said President Paul Biya is always there to assist his people in difficult times. The Ezio further called on his population to return to their villages since the administration is there to ensure that peace reigns.
The Société Métropolitaine d'Investissement de Douala-Smith is underway for the realization of projects in the city of Douala. At a constitutive General Assembly today, members of the Administrative Council were chosen and workshops created for effective and smooth work. Veronica Adji reports.
As from October 2018, la Société Métropolitaine d'Investissement de Douala, SMID, would launch its first project. During a constitutive General Assembly in Douala Friday, August 17, Marché New Dedo was chosen as the starting point. This market would be renovated with some 1,800 shops amounting to 6 billion CFA francs. The government delegate to the Douala City Council, head of this initiative, Dr. Fritz Ntonentone, says 54% has been achieved, but more is needed by 2025 for the city of Douala to be developed.
Entrer dans la danse pour qu'ensemble nous développions notre capital économique.
To some investors,
Surtout que la gestion soit bonne.
objectives can only be attained through proper management of funds.
À bien gérer nos investissements, c'est tout.
Friday's meeting saw the establishment of an administrative council and equally served as a platform to outline forthcoming projects such as the construction of an open-air resort at Vallée de la Beseke, a modern market in Bonamusari, as well as the extension of the Douala Central Market and many others.
Now over to religion, whereby Muslims have been urged to fast and pray more as the Feast of the Ram approaches. It was a key message preached by the Deputy Imam of the Peka Katos Mosque this Friday. John Paul Samam was among the Muslims and now reports.
As the clock ticks down to the celebration of the Feast of the Ram, Muslim faithfuls are expected to prepare physically and spiritually for this day. They are encouraged to fast and pray 10 days before the Feast of Sacrifice, and especially on the 9th day, which is the day of the Arafat, where it is believed that they are purified from all their sins while sharing the little they have with their neighbors.
We have to be concentrated in adoration with Almighty Allah We have to be kind between our neighbors, and also we have to share what we have, what Allah give us between our neighbors, our compatriots, Cameroonians, and all us. We have to be kind. We have to pray, to participate, like the pilgrimage, the Muslim who are in Arabia Saudi, Mecca to pilgrimage. We have to observe the fast of the day of Arafat.
The Eid al-Adha, also known as the Feast of Sacrifice or the Ram, is seen as one of the most important times or celebration in the life of a Muslim faithful, commemorated at the command of Allah in order for them to be closer to Him.
Muslim faithfuls in Bamenda today said their last Friday prayers before the Feast of Tabaski to be celebrated next Tuesday. The significance of the Feast of Tabaski to the lives of Muslims is the content of this report signed by Guy Joy from Bamenda.
It is in solemnity and on bended knees that the Muslim faithfuls gather at the Bamenda Central Mosque to say their last Friday prayers leading to the Feast of the Sacrifice. Abdul Karim talks on the significance of the awaited feast.
The significance is actually to commemorate the test upon which Abraham based his faith. As you're told in the Bible in Genesis 22 as well as the Quran chapter 22 verse number 27, Allah is telling us that He charged Abraham into a test of sacrificing his child. The Christians who hold it that is Isaac, Muslims say it's Ishmael, but the context is Abraham is supposed to sacrifice a child, and God replaced this child with a lamb and told Abraham that he has tested his faith, and that was exactly what he wanted to test. So it's in commemoration of our beloved prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him. We are instructed to do so in the Quran, and we are taught how to do so by Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
In Bamenda, the feast, which is expected to take place on the 21st of this month, will be celebrated at the usual prayer ground, where the Muslims will be praying for peace and unity in the nation.
We do Nawafil, which is the 2 units of prayer similar to what you've seen here. And then, of course, the Imam is going to give a sermon, and then Muslims are supposed to slaughter after the Imam have slaughtered.
Audu Garba, the Hausa youth leader, tells us the significance of the last Friday prayers and his preparations towards next week.
By our prophet Abraham, what Allah tells him to sacrifice, you have to sacrifice with a good ram, a healthy ram, a ram of about 1 year, like that, something like that. Yeah. And we are praying for the Northwest and Southwest and all Cameroonians to have peace and prosperity for all the problems that we have.
Islam is all about peace. Non-Christians are equally welcome to share in the Feast of the Sacrifice come next week, Tuesday, the 21st of August.
A 2-day international forum on hepatitis has rounded up in the city of Douala this Friday, August 17. Stakeholders in the medical sector were drilled on the cause of the disease and effective means of combating it in Cameroon and beyond. John Paul Sama reports.
In a bid to reduce the prevalent rate of hepatitis virus in Cameroon, health experts and medical personnel from different countries have ended a 2-day international forum on hepatitis in Douala, organized by SOS Hepatitis. The main aim of this conference was to reflect on how to effectively eradicate this cankerworm before 2030, an objective which they say they have attained through this conference.
Oui, parce que nous avons tous les éminents professeurs.
Through debates and talks held during this conference, which brought together medical personnel and associations fighting against hepatitis, it has helped us in achieving the laid down objectives of completely kicking out this killer disease.
Des associations de lutte contre les hépatites et tout ce monde a pu participer au débat.
They also seized this opportunity to call on everyone to be tested for hepatitis, and if found positive, immediate treatment should be taken following prescription from a qualified medical professional.
Traffic congestion within the city of Douala has remained an integral part of the daily life of denizens for years now. But the holding of traditional and other ceremonies, which often lead to deviation of motorways, is what road users have not been happy with. Details in this report. Driving within the city of Douala on a Thursday, Friday or Saturday is never very easy, especially in areas like Carrefour Ajib and Feu Rouge Besenge, just to name but these. It is either for a wakekeeping or simply a celebration that most roads in the heart of the city are being obstructed by organizers of such events, which consequently leads to traffic congestion and conflicts between road users and those who block them, a phenomenon which denizens of the city are not contented with.
Il ne peut pas se passer un mois sans qu'il n'ait pas ici au niveau de Jérusalem là.
We cannot go for a month without having a blockage along this stretch of road from Carrefour Besenge going down to Ndokote, a situation which at times leads to accidents. In the morning, the road will be segmented into two canopies planted on one side and the other free for circulation. But in the evening, the road is completely blocked. In such a situation, we are forced to use the other side of the road. I think this system of blocking the road for wakekeeping or other events is of no importance because it leads to a lot of road accidents within the city. For if one side of the road is blocked, road users are forced to use the other side of the road, which is not too big to accommodate the number of road users we have in the city. Perhaps this could be the needed solution to solve this issue rocking the city of Douala. I think Douala has a festival hall well equipped to host any kind of event or other halls in town, affordable for people to rent to carry out wedding or funerals. It is high time those managing affairs of the city of Douala take into consideration this worrisome issue faced by denizens, which may equally help reduce the usual traffic congestion in the city of Douala. Let's now get news out of Cameroon with the VOA.
The relationship between the United States and Turkey has been strained for some time, but the two NATO allies have not acknowledged any real animosity until recently. Erdogan has accused the United States of stabbing its strategic partner in the back by doubling its tariffs on Turkish aluminum and steel. Trump on Thursday said of Turkey, they have not proven to be a good friend.
They have a great Christian pastor there. He's a very innocent man.
Trump then said the United States obtained a release of a person on behalf of Erdogan without giving details and expects Erdogan to respond accordingly.
We got somebody out for him. He needed help getting somebody out of someplace. They came out. They want to hold our wonderful pastor. Not fair, not right.
Mnuchin said his department is ready to increase sanctions against Turkey if the pastor is not released.
We were very clear with our counterparts there, both Secretary Pompeo and myself, on the release of the pastor. We've put sanctions on several of their cabinet members. Working with you, we have more that we're planning to do if they don't release him quickly.
Analysts say the pastor is a part of a wider disagreement between the two nations. Erdogan has fiercely opposed U.S. support of the Kurds in fighting Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. He is also angered by the U.S.'s refusal to extradite an exiled Turkish cleric who is his opponent. U.S. rights groups and some policymakers are frustrated with Erdogan's increasingly authoritarian style. For now, he has the support of his citizens.
Does everything depend on Brunson? We have proved that we're not a country the West can rule and that we're standing up stronger. Turkish people have opened their eyes now. Our politicians have opened our eyes. Turkey is no longer a country that could be pushed about.
Erdogan has convinced his supporters that foreign powers work to undermine a strong Muslim state. But analysts say such rhetoric cannot hold for long if prices of food, gas and other essential goods become too high for ordinary Turkish citizens. Zlarica Houk, VOA News, Washington.
Let's now talk sport football in this newscast. Cotosport of Garoua today clinched her quarter-final ticket in the 2018 Challenge Cup of Cameroon thanks to a 2-0 victory over Column of the South. For a preview of the remaining 7 games scheduled to run this weekend, here comes Veronica Aji.
After having survived by the skin of their teeth against fellow League One side Astre, defending Cameroon Cup champions New Star Football Club of Douala will play their round of 8 game against another Elite One club, Edingspor of the Lekki. Young Sport Academy of Bamenda plays against Unisport of Bafang, and Future FC of Jiko Banjun takes on second-tier outfit Lyon Blessé of Futuni. A legendary clash in the making will pit 2 of Cameroon's top clubs at this competition as Canon Sportif of Yaoundé, who edged Fovo FC of Baham in the round of 16 rumbles off against Union Sportif of Douala. Foudre FC of Akonolinga takes on Ligue 1 bound TKC, while Fédéral de Noun, after a dramatic 2-1 win over PWD of Bamenda, will be looking to upset the odds once more. The Giant Killers play against a Renaissance of Ngumu side who have a knack for eliminating regional clubs. While the 2015 champions UMS of Loum lock horns with Panther of Dundee.
That sport report by Veronica Aji brings us to the end of today's English Primetime Newscast on Spectrum Television. We thank you all for watching. See you next week Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.